Hey guys, welcome back to Cherry Hill Farm. Today I just thought I'd give you a little tour of our strawberries and what they're looking like. We got them planted the 28th of September, so they've been in the ground 20 days roughly. They had a pretty hard go at it when we first put them in because it was 90 degrees for 2.5 weeks or so, and now the temperatures immediately dropped to where it's supposed to be. We had no transition, but the strawberries are a lot happier now that it's not 90 degrees. They really don't like to sit there and bake on that plastic 90 degree weather. We had to do a lot of overhead irrigation to try to keep them healthy. But anyway, we've got our deer fence up. That is basically, if you think, I've got another video that shows it, but it's 2 fences. The reason for that is deer have no depth perception, so they can't tell how far these 2 fences are apart, and so they just don't really like to mess with it because they can't tell how far they need to jump it, and they don't want to go through it. You can do fairly well with this setup with no power on it, but we've had 2 really bad strawberry years in a row, so I'm going to do all that I can to try to keep the deer out of this crop. So I'm fixing to go up here and put an electric fence charger on it, and just to make sure, because if they get hit one time with this, they can't cross this fence without getting tangled up in it, because they just can't see well enough, tell enough about it to jump it. And they will get tangled up in it, and if this fence charger eats them up one time, they're pretty well done. They don't want no more of that. But deer actually don't really bother the strawberry fruit, so when the strawberries start bearing, we can take the fence down. It's just these young tender plants, something about it, deer really seem to like them, and they will graze them down to the roots if you let them. But we've got several different varieties this year. I'm standing right here in front of a variety called Sensation. It's actually a variety that's bred for Florida. It's supposed to be a pretty good variety. It's just, they say it's hard to grow here. We've got pretty sandy soils, especially on this end of the field where I'm standing. So hopefully we're gonna be able to get a decent crop out of them. I don't know. We planted about 2,500 Sensation plants. They look pretty good. I just did a population count on them, and I think we've lost about 4% of them, and that may have nothing to do with the variety. The rest of them we've lost little to nothing on. We've got a couple of new varieties up here that NC State just released. Well, I don't know if they've technically released them or not, but the place we went to this year to get our plants had some, so we figured we'd give them a try. There's one right here that I'm especially pleased with the way it's looking. Just look at how healthy all of these plants look. Most of these plants are virtually flawless. They're all very close to the same size. All the leaves on them are looking really good. I'm very happy with this 038 so far. And on up here a little ways, we have got some Sweet Charlie, and we got quite a few Sweet Charlies we planted. I think there's 2,500 Sweet Charlies up here, and they look pretty good. They're a little bit larger plant at the moment than the 038s we were just looking at. They were actually the largest plants when we got them. I think that's a little bit harder on them because of the way that strawberry plants are handled in the nursery. They pick up the flats, stack the flats on top of each other and stuff them in a cabbage box. And so we brought home a trailer load of cabbage boxes full of strawberry plants, and that's the way everybody handles them. That's standard practice. But I think they handle it very well. As you can see, we got a pretty healthy crop of strawberries, but I think they bounce back from that rough treatment better when the plant is a little bit smaller, as long as they got a good developed root system. The tall, scraggly ones seems like they get roughed up a little worse than the smaller ones. But standing in a variety right here called Chandler. This is the most commonly grown strawberry in North Carolina for the most part. If you go to a U-pick patch, particularly around here, it's going to be a Chandler. They yield pretty well. They've got really sweet flavor. We don't grow a ton of them. We haven't ever grown a lot of them in the past, just because they have a fairly short shelf life. They won't keep. That's just the variety. We've got about 2,500 Chandlers, I think. And then this next section up here is the staple for Cherry Hill Farm. It's the one that everybody seems to really like when they come out here. We've grown just about all of this variety in the past. It's called Camarosa. It's a super sweet strawberry. They've got great flavor, and they've got just a little bit longer shelf life, so it's good for us in that the shelf life is a little longer. We can set on them for a day or two in the cooler if we have to, whereas Chandler you have to sell the day it's picked. But these Camarosas are looking really good. The reason we've cut back on our Camarosa, you may be wondering, if everybody likes the Camarosa so good, why don't we just grow all Camarosa if they've got a great shelf life and everybody loves them? Camarosa are a little bit tougher to grow, and that's probably part of the reason for the past 2 years being not very good for us in strawberries, is because the Camarosa, if you don't get it in at exactly the right time, they are not going to do very well, and they're pretty finicky. So we cut back on our population this year of Camarosa. We only planted about 7,500 of them, but you can see the Camarosas are looking pretty good as well. There is our sand filter up there in the corner of the field. I think I've talked about it in a previous video. It just is full of sand and gravel, and the water is pumped from the creek. It goes up through the sand, which filters the algae and the mud out, and then it runs out here. Pressure is regulated, and it runs out through the drip in the middle of these beds. And when it gets stopped up, all we have to do is cut a valve open, and it runs the water backwards through the filter and blows all the mud and algae out. So it's a good little setup. On this part of the farm, we don't have it connected to the electric pump that you've seen in a prior video. We're just pumping straight out of the creek up to the sand filters and down through the strawberry patch. But anyway, I believe that's about it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.